Associate Professor of Security Studies from Marine Corps University. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, so, let's just start out by what you make of the outcome.
Well, I mean, there was great expectations raised that this could be essentially the final sort of lap for Mr. Erdogan, who's been in power since 2003, either as prime minister or as president, not least of all because he was presiding over quite a weakened and fragile economy, the back end of a devastating series of earthquakes, but also sort of this endemic sort of corruption, nepotism, and just an authoritarian turn, which, as you can see from the results, at least or close to 50% of the country wanted to get rid of. But, some people, including, myself, have been sort of cautioning, saying, this is a deeply authoritarian system, and elections may not necessarily be enough to just push him out the way. But it does look like at this hour, and just in the preliminary results, that he just won this election without any sort of or substantial chicanery to essentially to sort of unseat him. So we are, unpleasantly surprised on some levels, but he has secured another 5 years in office.
One thing I want to turn to, there were a couple of campaign issues. One in particular, as you had just mentioned, was the economy. People in Turkey are struggling with spiking inflation and a spiraling lira, its currency. So do you see him changing any of his economic policies over the next 5 years?
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, as we've been sort of watching this today, the Turkish currency has been struggling to hold its value against the US dollar and the euro, simply because Turkey lacks, foreign currency reserves to actually maintain this currency at its present level. And basically, a lot of economists are urging Mr. Erdogan to essentially return to economic orthodoxy, such as raising interest rates as quickly as possible, and essentially sort of reining in government spending as much as possible. We'll have to see in the coming days what kind of economic message he's going to send to the market, simply because he is under tremendous amount of pressure. And throughout the election cycle, he has been spending, simply to sort of keep the economy sort of buoyant and alive, so that he can essentially maintain this sort of facade of growth, so that he doesn't get punished at the ballot box. But at this point in time, unless he essentially introduces capital controls, or unless he essentially goes back to economic orthodoxy, I think Turkey's economy is likely to experience a severe sort of balance of payments issue, and could default on several loans. Turkey's external debt is approaching 500 billion US dollars. And total debt is estimated to be about $700 billion. So the country's up against a real set of troubles here.